Our top story this hour then, Brazilian officials say at least 132 people have lost their lives during a large-scale operation against organised crime and drug trafficking in Rio de Janeiro. Over 2,000 security personnel then, plus armoured vehicles, were deployed for the sting operation, which took place inside two favela complexes, which house the notorious crime family, the Red Command. Well, scores of weapons were seized and 81 people were arrested. Human rights groups, though, have called for an investigation into those deaths, calling it urgent. Let's get the very latest on this story. Tim Vickery is standing by for us in Rio de Janeiro. Tim, what's the latest? The death toll has risen significantly since we first got news of these raids.
Yes, it has. The death toll announced by the authorities was 58. 4 of whom are police officials. Overnight, and this is still ongoing, residents from those favelas have been going into the woodland between the favelas, which is where the conflict appears to have taken place. And it's the residents who've been finding bodies and bringing them to the principal square of that favela. So far, they have found 74 bodies, and the searches are ongoing. So the death toll keeps rising. Before, the grim record for deaths in a Rio police operation was 28 in an operation 5 years ago. This one is 132 and rising.
Rising indeed, Tim. It's thought that there's some political motivation behind these big sting operations. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, there are 3 levels of government. There is the city of Rio, which has a mayor. There is the state of Rio, which has a governor. And there is, of course, the national government. This security operation was carried out by the governor of the state of Rio. Now, he is a right-wing figure. And he is saying that this operation was a success. And with the exception of the 4 dead police officers, everyone else here is a member of the Red Command. Now, this very much plays into a very strong rationale here. This is a city traumatized by the reality of urban crime, that the only good bandit is a dead bandit. Specialists, however, would argue that such operations do nothing to combat the real problem. This has much more to do with the politics of spectacle than it really does with the politics of public safety. Specialists will argue that all of these, let's assume that all of the dead, with the exception of 4 police, are members of the Comando Vermelho, the Red Command. They can be replaced very, very quickly. And the rifles and weapons captured by the police can also be replaced quickly, because we are dealing with a major social force here in this criminal group, which started in the late 70s and early 80s in Rio's prisons. As a result of contact with left-wing political prisoners, the criminals learnt to organise, and then in the 80s, when Rio got on the cocaine route, Brazil got on the cocaine route, there was an explosion in drug traffic. But now it goes beyond drug traffic. The Red Command have set themselves up in a number of areas as an alternative state. They charge the local residents a fee for all of the services of daily life. So combating this needs much, much more than a police operation, however spectacular. The only way that the authorities can get on top of this is with a coordinated, long-lasting operation involving not just security forces, but levels of the state at all three levels, at city, state, and national level. Now, President Lula has just arrived back from Malaysia, be holding meetings with his ministers today, and is expected to send a committee to Rio, probably tomorrow, to get together with various branches of government to see if they can come up with some kind of coordinated attempt to deal with the problem of organised crime, because it really was a huge impact yesterday, the way that organised crime was able to respond to this police operation by bringing chaos to the city, barricading a number of the leading roads around Rio, forcing and in fear and in a climate of tension. A lot of commerce was closing around 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon, with hundreds of thousands of people facing a difficult journey home. There's an eerie silence around Rio at the moment. Usually in the background, you would be hearing the sound of civil construction workers. That's all quiet. There's an eerie silence as Rio was woken up today to the reality of just how thin the veneer of public order is in a city where organised crime is so strong.